Oh, hey everyone. You're watching Tom from Ludicrous Feed. Thank you so much. Well, welcome to a Ludicrous Feed Live. I hope you've all had a good little break over the April holiday period. Yeah, it's been good. We've had fun also. The family and I been around. As you can see, we've driven to Canberra in our Model Y. So I hope you enjoyed that video and just doing a bit of testing as well with the new car. So nice to see everyone in the live chat too. So thank you for joining us. And also, if you're watching on replay, hello too. Make sure you leave a comment and say hello. And if you're watching on, listening on audio podcast, hello as well. Thank you so much for joining us. All right, well, let's introduce our regular guests for tonight. As always, let's introduce them. Our regulars, of course, Mr. Riz Akhtar from Carloop, and as well as Mr. Rahul Prasad. Hello, gentlemen. How are we both?
Going well, Tom.
And likewise, welcome back, Tom. Globetrotting, jet setting. But yeah, welcome back to Australia.
Thank you. Yes, had a little bit of a stint overseas on a family vacation, but great to be home indeed. Well, let's start with Riz. Riz, how have you been? Haven't seen you in a month. Things been
Yeah,
well?
no, it's going well. I'm glad to see Tom your video to Canberra. I think just giving Chris Bowen a bit of a nudge to release the strategy and all of that. I think that's all worked out well. It's out now, so no, good, going well.
Good to see. Yes, good to see that national electric vehicle strategy finally roll out. So we'll definitely talk about that tonight. And Rahul, how are you and the family?
Yeah, Tom, thank you. We're good. Yeah, Easter. Kids love Easter. Obviously with the egg hunt and all that sort of stuff. Loads of chocolates. We've had some good weather in Melbourne, so we can't complain. I think even today, Riz, what was it, 20 something, 20
Yeah,
odd
early
or so?
20s.
Yeah, we can't complain. So living the
Can't
life, Tom.
Yeah, living the dream, all of us. I think you're about to spread some of that unseasonal warmth up our way to Sydney because I think tomorrow the forecast is for 27 Celsius. So yeah, that's unusually warm for April, late April at least anyway. So not complaining. I'll leave the winter woolies back home as we head out. So yeah. Anyway, yes, lots to talk about tonight. So if you're watching us live, hello, and make sure you leave a comment as well. If there's anything you want us to talk about tonight, it's kind of open for all. So drop a comment and we'll pop it up on the screen if there's enough backing behind it. So yeah, thank you for joining us. Gents, what should we talk about first? There's so much to discuss, really. I mean, let's talk about the national strategy that was released since Riz, you touched on it. In fact, what I might do is put up a video of Chris Bowen if I can just find him talking about it. Let's see. All right, give me 1 second, everyone. Okay, so let's see if I can make this work. Here he is. Okay, let's see. This is our climate change minister, federal minister, talking about the new electric vehicle policy. Okay, thank you, Chris, for that. Yeah, so I mean that document was huge. It was like 54 pages long. Sorry, there's no sound was there, but you got the gist of it. The text was on the screen. So Riz, let's start with you. I mean, general thoughts.
Like the video, lots of stock footage from the US. So I think that the team's out there making all the EV footage of us driving around at the moment. So hopefully in the next video we'll have Australian footage on it. Um, Having said that, I think it's a start of some sort. At least there is, a national document that hopefully can be adjusted and modified based on feedback and consultation. Um, would have liked to see more incentives at federal level for us, for those people that are looking at purchasing a new electric vehicle. Countries like, pretty much everyone else, New Zealand, Canada, US, they have something from the sort of national federal government level that then can be stacked on top of the state government incentives. So that was one area that was lacking, but it's good to see they're talking about, 100 and what is it, 17 plus sites for basically running all around the major highways. That's a good initiative. Hopefully it's done in time. Yeah, that map is, it's quite good to see that it sort of covers most parts of, at least the borders and through the center of Australia as well, and through Queensland. So that's great to see, and that will complement whatever the states are already doing as well. So hopefully we have some transparency and a timeline of when this will be delivered, and hopefully we can track it, here on Ludicrous Feed week by week as well once they get the ball rolling.
Yeah, good thoughts there, Riz. I mean, I agree with you. Like this picture here is probably one of the great highlights of that paper. The fact that they're going to run these charges all the way across and around Australia will make that big lap a lot easier. Great to see the NRMA being involved with that as well. They've certainly been one of the great proponents of the charging network. And also, I guess you also touched on the fact that that's one of the criticisms of this paper, is that it's lacking a little bit in detail. There's a lot of direction, which is good, better than what it was, I think, 12 months ago from our federal government. But I think a lot of us want to probably see more detail and like timelines and targets and projections. So, they're going to revise it regularly. So hopefully that'll become, more fleshed out as time goes on, and certainly by the big revision in 2027. Rahul, thoughts on the paper?
Yeah, a couple of thoughts there. I think they've talked about that that document is going to be revisited in 2026. So obviously, is bound to change very shortly in the next sort of 2 to 3 years or so. But yeah, great news out of Queensland with that $6,000 rebate now. Geez, if you, I think from a kind of like a hands down perspective, like, feet on the street, like feet on the ground, hitting the ground running kind of thing. I love what the Queensland government's done. $6,000 of EV rebate and up to $68,000 from $58,000 is a fantastic initiative for people to buy into that market now. That's what stood out to me. The partnership with NRMA, fantastic, great to see. That initiative. Obviously, want to see it come to fruition. I think the federal government is going to kick in about $39 or $40 million there. The rest of it obviously has to come from private partnership. We'll wait to see on that. And the only other thing that I would say is, obviously looks great on paper. What I would like to see is that infrastructure is then backed with reliability, because these are trips that people have been wanting to do for a long time, Tom, including yourself and myself as well, not just by ourselves, but with our families. So we can have that reliability of that infrastructure every 150 Ks, every 200 Ks, for people to be able to do it on a regular basis. That'd be absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, Rahul. And look, I certainly do applaud the early adopters and even people today who've done the big lap with the current infrastructure the way it is. I absolutely applaud you. Like we've had Neil Bolton on the show recently. He did the big lap in, I think it was 17 days from memory. So that's great if you're alone and you're sort of just relying on yourself. But I think, as you said, Rahul, with a family, I certainly want a bit more guaranteed charging along the way. Like I want to see some DC charges along that route, as we saw that picture, that we can be comfortable knowing that the charger will be there and working, rather than relying on AC charging, which is great, great for overnight stops, but I think if you want to keep driving on the road, DC charging is the way to go. And you touched on a good point too, Rahul, that uptime is important. There needs to be some sort of metric that wasn't actually mentioned at all in the paper. Uptime of charges, some sort of reliability metric. That would be great as well. We've got Charles, one of our members here, saying good comment here. It says also worth noting the press release said that fund 117 locations, but there are 130 locations marked. So some further refining is coming.
Yeah, I noted that as well. I put the listings from the press release into a spreadsheet, and there were 130 locations in total. And I think, yeah, there's hopefully more sites coming, and this could just be a start. And even at sort of a starting point, I don't think they mentioned anything about, like the New South Wales government, the minimum number of bays or stalls or anything like that, or the power requirements. So hopefully those details, as you mentioned earlier, Tom, as well, further details on what these initiatives actually look like and details around that would be helpful for those tracking the transition, but also sets a bit of a benchmark for states to follow as well. For example, like New South Wales, I've previously mentioned as well on the live streams that, those high number of bays gives EV drivers more confidence that when they do reach a charging site, that there'll be at least one they'll be working. We have many examples here in Victoria where even the new chargers that are going in or that are about to go in, there's only one DC unit, one 50 kilowatt unit with one CCS and one CHAdeMO port. In 2023, we're nearly April into it now. I don't think that's sort of good enough anymore, especially if we're trying to reduce charger anxiety. So if the federal government can have a bit of a, lay out a little bit of a, let's just say, a few examples of sites done well as part of this rollout, and that becomes the standard that some of the states can follow as well, that are not as progressive as New South Wales, then that would be great as well.
Yeah, that's a great point, Riz. There has to be some sort of metric. I think I read on the internet this week, Tesla published or someone quoted Tesla's uptime was 99% somewhere. So I'm not sure where that quote is. Have to find it, but that was very impressive. And as I said, go on, Riz.
I think it came from the impact report they put out this week, which was sort of covering all the things they've achieved in 2022. And there is an area where they talk about the supercharger uptime of that 99 point something percent, which, they're operating over 45,000 charging stalls now worldwide.
Wow.
So it's pretty impressive.
Quick shout out to all our members tonight too. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for supporting the channel over the years as well. I really appreciate it. I put up another message here from Charles Gregory. Some of the WA guys commented that the WA part is duplicating the WA EV network, and perhaps they should just skip the WA coast and just do the Central Highway. Yeah, that's a good point. Although I'm not sure exactly how many chargers are in the WA network. Riz, do you know? 1 or 2 per site, I think. We don't know that, do we?
Yeah, no, I'm not entirely sure. I think Charles may know more actually on that one.
I mean, not a bad thing duplicating, that's the whole point of these backbones, is to get it there, and then hopefully we get more private investment on top of it. And Gaffer also says, were there minimums being set for the NRMA network rollout, like minimum number of stalls? Yeah, that's right. So we talked about the New South Wales minimum numbers. I'm not sure what there is for the Australian national targets. And Tassie EV1, I agree, Rahul. Reliability is key, but also needs simple payment, either contactless or plug and charge. No more RFID apps. Reliability requirements like the US is requiring on the RA funded sites. Yes, absolutely. Yep. So more thoughts on metrics on reliability and uptime. I totally agree with you. Charles also says, highlight of the federal map is the NT network, the only state territory which had no DC charging planned until now. Yes, let's put that up again. So that's what Charles means up the top here. Bit more charging up here, which is great. And look at that, straight up and down, copying the Garn train, hopefully.
Yeah. I was thinking that earlier
Adelaide
as well.
That's good. Now I wanted to put up something. Someone said about a bit of Tesla news that the Model S and X order page is down. Could that be a sign of the fact that they're coming back up for an order? Where was it? I think it was down today. Someone said, here we go. Tesla SX order page now saying stay updated by email. Tesla are no longer taking deposits in Australia. I ordered an S long range in December 2020, and it seems I will be waiting a lot longer. Rahul, thoughts on a new Model X for the family?
Oh, I'm so happy with a Y. I think I'm just going to hold on to my Cybertruck reservation for as long as possible. Even though Mrs. is actively trying to talk me out of it, but nah, I'm going to stay firm on this one, Tom.
I want to see you charging that thing.
Go bust.
I want to see you charging that thing off street. That would be awesome. Yeah. And also, I think, yes, I wanted to talk about this too. Yes, the Queensland government doubled their rebates to $6,000 with a threshold of $68,000 now, which is the same as New South Wales. So actually, New South Wales is actually behind now. So we've only got a $3,000 rebate. So we talked about this, gents, about the state of origin we want to try and promote between the states, right? So there you go. I think Queensland's won this round, I would say.
So in New South Wales, you can get your stamp duty back as well.
This is correct.
I think, and that's probably worth for Model 3. What's that worth? $3,000, $4,000?
Yeah, no, a couple of grand at least. I'm pretty sure my order was a couple of grand. Yeah,
that's always been pretty impressive in New South Wales, and I think ACT does something similar in terms of they've got pretty generous sort of rebates. But
free rego too.
Yeah. And Queensland is quite good from the point of view. Yeah, the new scheme seems more in line with some of the other states. Particularly, I think the original scheme was 58,000 to encourage more affordable electric vehicles to come into the state or into the country. It did happen to a certain degree with the BYDs and the MG ZSs, but it didn't bring as many models. So a lot of the residents either waited or just bought Teslas with their own money and just saw what was going to happen. So it's good to see at least we can have a Model 3 rear-wheel drive with $6,000 off the price that you couldn't get before in Queensland.
Yeah, no, that's super impressive. So well done, Queensland. Now I wanted to put this up as well from because it just triggered my memory to discuss this one. So JD Media and Music was at the Fully Charged chat within RMA, and Robert at Fully Charged Sydney. Sounds like a great start to expand around the country. My concern is I hope there will be at least 6 to 8 bays per site. I mean, that would be heaven. 6 to 8 bays per site around Australia. We need at least that by 2026 by the next revision. But the thing I wanted to talk about too was that Fully Charged announced they'll be coming back to Sydney officially earlier too in 2024 in February at a bigger venue in Homebush, which is the big Sydney showground area where the Royal Easter Show is held in Sydney. And it's going to be called Everything Electric. So I think they've taken some feedback on board and tried to be more inclusive and more encompassing of everything. Hopefully we'll see more EVs as well on show from OEMs next year. So thank you for that reminder. Now let's see. We should probably talk about, speaking of affordable EVs, gents, let's talk about the Shanghai Motor Show a little bit. We'll leave a lot of it to Elliot when he comes back on the show, hopefully later this month or next month. But Riz, see anything you like from the Shanghai Motor Show?
Yeah, a couple of interesting cars. It was SUVs were all around. I thought that was quite interesting to see. I guess the Chinese brands understand if they want to go global, they've got to have compelling SUV products. So Xpeng had a few, Zeekr had one as well. Put that together earlier in the week.
Thank you.
That's Xpeng's G9, very luxurious Range Rover sort of vehicle. But they had another one that's more affordable. We'll start with the Polestar 4. Interesting car with, I think they don't have a rear window anymore.
That's right.
So like the Hyundai's Ioniq 5, I think, which has the and the Genesis, which has the cameras for the rear view. You've got no window here, so you can display all of your thing via camera. I guess we'll see the practical sort of implications of that. So yeah, clean Polestar design. Good to see.
Zika X. So this is a collaboration with Geely, right? Geely
It is.
for the European market.
It is, and this will be heading to the European market. Basically, this vehicle, like the Polestar, so they're both owned. Polestar and Zeekr are owned by Geely Holdings. They sit on a similar platform, and yeah, this vehicle is heading to the Netherlands and Europe in the fourth quarter of this year. So you never know, we may see some of these next year in Australia as well. So Zeekr is looking at expanding out of China into the European market and hopefully to us as well.
Yeah, I definitely want to see some of these here in Australia. They're all looking quite minimalistic now, aren't they? People, I guess, want this sort of very clean look.
And I think that screen moves. It's sort of sitting on a rail.
Wow.
So it moves between the passenger and the center, and apparently that's one of the key trends: who's got a bigger screen and what it can do. So,
I suppose you've got the binnacle there behind the wheel, so you can move
yeah.
that for your passenger. That's pretty cool. Xpeng G6, another SUV
Yeah,
type.
that's their affordable offering. Well, affordable SUV, and yeah, it looks very much like a Jaguar from the rear and pretty stylish from the front as well. So Xpeng's doing some good work with design. Whether that goes to Europe like some of their other vehicles, that'd be cool to see. But yeah, plenty of power, 368 kilowatts, and 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in under 4 seconds.
Amazing. Starting at 43 grand in China, all the way to 65. That's unbelievable value for the domestic market there. Wow. Nita GT looks pretty
This
swish.
thing looked cool.
Yeah.
An electric sports car. We don't like as in a two-door sports car, sort of like Roadster, but we haven't seen too many of them yet. But this one is supposed to be quite affordable, under 50,000 Australian dollars. And yeah, I guess it's interesting to see if some of our viewers have seen Nita's other vehicles. They are quite, let's say, boring, but they're supposed to be very affordable. So they're launched in the Thailand market with very affordable electric vehicles, but this is sort of their first attempt at a proper sports car. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see when it does come out and if it ever leaves China.
Might have to swim over like the dolphin, which we'll touch on shortly. Here we go. The seagull. Sorry, I was going to touch on the seagull. Here we are. So
yeah, so this little birdie's flown in, and it seems to be very popular. First day of pre-orders, they got over 10,000 orders on the car.
Wow. Amazing.
And yeah, real world range of 200 plus kilometers and under 21,000 for the top of the range model in the local Chinese market. So if it ever does leave China, then seeing it in markets like Australia or Europe for under sort of 25,000 Australian dollars would be great.
Yeah, unbelievable. I mean, also another comment from the national strategy was that, or at least from my video that I released, comments were that we need more affordable vehicles. I mean, we've touched on this many times. It's got to come from China, these affordable vehicles. Like, that's just insane value. 200K range for like under 20 grand for this vehicle. That's good for the urban environment. So it's whether Australians will accept that in time. So I guess the reliability and it's got to be tested as well in our market. So looking forward to seeing that.
Apparently, the Seagull has autonomous emergency braking system. It's not as bare bone as many think it is. So in many ways, it's similar to the Kia Picanto, the ICE car that we currently sell. And last year, we sold over 5,000 of them in Australia.
Wow.
So there's a market for these small runaround inner city cars that, hopefully this I think does 130 kilometers an hour. So it's not like you take it on the freeway too often, but it goes over the 100-kilometer limit, and it seems to do what it's supposed to do, get people from A to B.
Mm.
And it has that on the interior at the Shanghai show. Some of the videos showed it's very similar to the Dolphin or the Atto 3 from an interior point of view. So it's a lot of car for that money. And yeah, if BYD ever fulfills enough demand in China and wants to export some, there will be markets everywhere.
It's good that the Atto 3 is here, so people are starting to become familiar with the with that design, that interior. So if that's sort of kept throughout their range, then people won't be as shocked when this comes around. I'll just put up Gaffer's comment here. Looking at these cars, it's no wonder the EU European cars are beginning to lose their shine with the Chinese market. So yeah. Now I want to put up this video here that Rahul shared with me. I'll just make sure this works first. This is Matt Watson from CarWow showing something interesting at the Shanghai show. Let's see whether the sound works this time. It may not. So if you can't hear the sound, it's an autonomous robot charging a vehicle.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think the gist of that, what Matt Watson was saying, Tom, was I think that is a 500 kilowatt charger as well, which can charge your car from 10% to 100% in 10 minutes.
That's right.
Um,
It's phenomenal.
yeah, you just pull up to a charger, and yeah, that autonomous charger will just take care of, plugging your car in, and you don't have to do anything. And I think I have seen videos of these autonomous robot chargers at petrol stations at some locations in Europe. And I think the idea is that eventually when they do transition to being EV chargers, that those robots can then take over doing EV charging as well. It's essentially the same task. It's just basically taking a plug from point A to point B. So you can basically just rock up, park your car, the robot will plug your car in. It'll probably, even if you've already signed up to the app or whatever, if you're plugged in and you've already paid, it'll give you a notification while you're in the cafe or the restaurant or the bathroom or whatever, and saying, "Hey mate, time to move your car."
Yeah. Yeah, you may not even need to like wait for a charge. You can, if there's a long queue at like on Good Friday or whatever, Boxing Day, you park your car anywhere in the parking lot, and this guy will come up. Well, not Matt, the robot will come along and autonomously plug in your vehicle, right? And that'll alleviate icing as well, because then the ice cars can't complain we're taking up their spots because we just park anywhere. And the robot comes to plug in. Just a thought for the future.
I think from an accessibility point of view as well, for people with disability and other road users as well, where currently a lot of the chargers in Australia are sort of mounted on a curb where you can't really access with a wheelchair. This sort of helps with that as well, where, if you have certain accessible or disability bays that have these chargers there, it would make it easier for people not having to get out, and just make the whole experience a whole lot easier for those that sort of, can't access chargers as easily as the rest of us.
Yep, no, great point there. Yeah, that's going to be an issue for sure. Accessibility around charging. We might have to find someone, to come and chat to us about that with a bit more knowledge, how they cope now with car and petrol stations and how that can cross over to electric vehicles. So yeah, that's a good idea for next video. Put up Charles's comment here. Seriously, a nice toy, but really wireless charging is going to suit a few niche use cases for automated charging, taxi ranks, autonomous cars, disability access, etc. Yeah, niche, but I guess still useful. I guess, Charles. We'll see what happens. Speaking of icing, now I want to put this up because this was a bit of a interesting article here that was written, and also I saw on social media too this week about a Ford Ranger that was blocking some superchargers in Victoria, I think it was, over the holiday period. Look at this. So he's not just icing one, he's icing, well, I shouldn't assume but this person is icing 1, 2, 3 EV charging spots. Let's get some comments, Rahul. Thoughts seeing this as you drive on your road trip with the family?
Oh my God. You know what? I mean, I just feel like, we're well past this. Like, this is 2023 now. We've had EVs for a number of years. We're seeing ramping up of EV adoption in Australia, including in Melbourne. And by the way, this is in Box Hill, which is a suburb of Melbourne. It's I mean, we call it Victoria, but it's really, isn't it, Riz? It's Melbourne, right? And that blocking 3 charging bays is just ridiculous. But yeah, I'm glad whoever took this photo, they did the right thing. I think they took the photo, they blocked the number plate, but they reported to the right authorities. Obviously, there's fines for paying. There's fines, obviously, for blocking EV chargers and for people from charging. And, regardless of the fact that there were other bays there, the fact that you're parked in charging bays where you shouldn't be, and I'm sure there's other parking areas there, just smacks off ice mentality. I just don't know what to say. What else to say there? I'm trying to be polite.
Let it out. Although we don't condone violence, I'm just seeing someone asking to let tires down. Don't do that. I think you're risking a fine yourself doing that. I know in New South Wales the fine is up to $2,200 now. I think Victoria it's a fine as well, but not as high as that, Riz.
Usually in Victoria, you paid to drive an EV, so you pay a fine to drive one. So it's, for this guy, it's completely fine. There is 12 bays at that Box Hill site.
That's a new one, isn't it?
Yeah, it is the newest one, and as it stands, I still think the biggest ones yet in Australia with 12 bays. I guess the issue here is, I mean, I don't know the circumstances that the driver of that Ranger thought that it would be a good idea, but if it's for a short TikTok video, I hope he or she moved pretty quickly after that. But I think it's knowing the right procedure. So a lot of I know a couple of Tesla supercharger sites. So previously, I think last month, Mornington, with its 6-bay stall, there was a guy, I think, with a boat or a trailer that had parked all along the chargers, pretty much blocking a fair few of them. People didn't know what to do in that sense. You can't call the police because they're not going to do anything. The sites are sitting on HomeCo's shopping center. So it's best to contact their management and tell them that, hey, this is, the bays are being blocked. Because from what I gather, and Charles and others may know more, I believe Tesla pays rent to be on that sort of shopping center's site. So basically, if Tesla's paying rent to be on their site, then any issues to do with that have to be addressed with HomeCo. So maybe it's something that, some of us owners need to have a chat to HomeCo about around, or other shopping center operators. There's a couple in Queensland as well. That's probably the right sort of people to talk to when you do see something like that. And then maybe the center management can do something like either installing cameras or just putting up clearer signage to say that if you're sort of caught in this spot, then, we have cameras observing you and you'll be fined, whatever it is, $369 in Victoria and whatever sort of those penalties are. So education hopefully will get us across this little hurdle.
Yeah, that's right, Riz. Don't take things into your own hands. I mean, as you said, this is private property, so I don't know how much jurisdiction a parking ranger or police officer might have, but it does fall under someone's private property, which is the shopping center here. So yeah, bring it up with the management, I think. It's a funny comment here from Aaron, playing devil's advocate. Can we be sure the Ranger hadn't broken down? They aren't known for reliability. That's a good point, Aaron.
And I think in this photo, the parking range is already there
Ah, okay.
because it's a Ranger that's parked.
Oh, I gotcha. Right. Yep. Nice, Riz. Nice. Okay. Well, yeah. So, I mean, to be honest, this is the worst case I've seen actually of charges being blocked. I've seen a lot of cases from the US and overseas, but not as bad as it is in Australia. So there you go. And Peter's saying yes, 369 per space blocked. Yeah,
Mm.
it's over $1,000, mate. Careful. All right. So yes, and Charles says I think the rent situation varies between different sites. Early on, I don't think they did, but now they do, since there are other companies also wanting to do the same thing. Thanks, Charles. Excellent. Let's move on to a more positive story, and we've saw some charges being opened up this week, I think. Let's see. This is from a good friend of mine, Oz Mom in a Tesla. Let's put her tweet up here. So she was just driving around Victoria, I believe, and saw some nice examples of charges. So it's good to see more being rolled out in regional Victoria, gents.
Hmm.
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the companies there, Everty, I hadn't heard of their chargers, so I'm trying to think where that charger is. Is it in Cobram?
Looks like it. Cobram.
Yeah, love to go check it out. The best thing about that post also from Aussie Mum, and thank you, Aussie Mum. I think she has tuned into our live streams on a few occasions. The fact that all chargers were working, absolutely brilliant. Yeah, good to see that the infrastructure, does work most of the times.
Yep. And good to see some tritium chargers working too, just quietly. It's good. Speaking of which, I want to put this one up as well, Rahul. I think you put this up for me as well. Let's pop it up here and discuss this one. This was an interesting post on their, I think on their platform. Let's see. Yes, I've not seen this one before. This is at Brunswick in Victoria. We have been unable to repair these chargers and plan to have them replaced. Due to supply chain issues, we cannot yet provide an estimated date for the new fast chargers.
Ooh. No.
Yeah, so bit of background on this, Tom. I put this up next to Aussie Mum's tweet there about regional charging. Great to see that regional charging is, taking off, working, and available. But this is in the heart of Melbourne. I have used these chargers for on and off, including my Model 3, when these chargers were first put in, for about 3-4 years now. Amazingly reliable in the last sort of 2 or 3 years. But in the last year or so, in the last 18 months, they've just gone down, unfortunately. And once they've gone down, there was a time frame for about, say, 3 months, 6 months, and then coming up to 12 months where it was like, okay, well, we're trying to get parts. And now it's just gone to, on the Charge Ross Act, where they're just saying, we just can't provide an estimated date for the new chargers to be repaired. We're talking about a area in Melbourne, which is 5 k's away from the city, where there's more and more Teslas with Model Ys, Model 3s, your prices coming down on the road every day, from first having that Model 3 in 2018 to seeing perhaps one EV or one Tesla on the road, to now seeing one Tesla every couple of 100 meters in that area. And these chargers, which are public chargers servicing that area, is just ridiculous. I've stopped going to these chargers because they're just not going to be available.
Yep. As Peter's saying there, Brunswick is an odd case. Very few homes have street parking, so that's why we need these to work.
100%.
On these charges now, so where it says unavailable, note from Moreland Council. I don't even think they're called Moreland Council anymore. It's Marybeck. They changed their name in the time that
Oh dear.
that little sign went up. And a bit of Ludicrous Feed exclusive here.
Oh,
There are charges coming.
lean closer. Yep.
And from what I've heard, it will be between 80 and 100 kilowatt dual port unit. So there is plans, and hopefully in the next 3 to 4 months they will be installed and ready to go.
Okay,
That's good to hear, Riz.
very good.
We're gonna have a party there when they get installed, Riz. You and I.
Exactly.
You guys are joining us live from there. Yep.
Yeah, I'll rent my family to for a road trip up to Brunswick.
5Ks away, isn't it? You said from
Yeah,
CBT. Greg makes a good point. Tesla needs to bring out their 60 kilowatt chargers here. They are small and slim and are perfect for car parks in suburbia. Yes, they are. They're very nice, actually. I'll see if I can find a picture of them. Yeah, need some of those. What are they called? Urban chargers, I think. Or city chargers.
There's sort of like the new V4 superchargers that have started to go out in the Netherlands, I think. But a smaller, like sort of not as tall as the new V4s. But yeah, they look pretty cool. And hopefully, if Tesla does go down that path, maybe the next 18 months, it'd be great to see.
Yeah, let's see. I've got a picture here. So there we go. Yeah, that's what they look like. They are very slim. And Gaffer says, we need those light pole chargers rolled out. Saw one in Glebe in Sydney. Yes, that's the one I reviewed. So I agree, Gaffer. We definitely need more of those. Yep, for off-street park. People who don't have off-street parking. Thank you. Keep those questions coming, guys. And Tassie EV1 says, Chem Power chargers. I think the WA network has got Chem Power chargers.
They do, and even in Melbourne at the Glen Shopping Centre, there is Chem Power chargers there now. But yeah, on that site, it's not any of the brands that we know of today. It's a new brand.
Yeah, and where's the comment here? We've got Charles was saying can't compete with free. Here we go. So another funny thing about Brunswick is there are no commercial DC chargers in the area. No one will go there because you can't compete with free. This is true. I've always said, I don't think we should have free DC charging. I think NRMA need to pick up their game and start getting the app out, because you're going to get queues at NRMA and not, it's going to be hard for other brands to compete. You're actually doing a disservice because of this reason. So if you're watching someone for NRMA, you promised us this app in 2023. It's already the 4th month, almost the 5th month in 2023. So please roll out your app and start charging people. That's my little rant. Speaking of rant, I just want to put this one up. Interesting post here from that Rahul sent as well. Thanks, Rahul, for this one. A little bit of self-promotion, I guess, from my point of view. I love Marquez, by the way. This article talks about the fact that content creators have officially entered the realm of product collaborations that were once the domain of sports figures and film, music, and TV stars. I mean, Marquez is a great-looking guy, I must say. He's got that advantage. I think other content creators, not as good-looking like myself. Are we? Is this where we're heading? Is this where YouTubers are going? Promoting stuff in place of other people. Riz, Rahul?
Look, I think Marquez, in my sort of opinion, is sort of the future Dr. Dre. So Beats by Dr. Dre, it's whatever his shoe brand is by Marquez.
Yes.
So no, it's interesting. It's good to see. Been a huge fan of his stuff for many years, but shoes, not too sure. But yeah, I think he's done other stuff before. Collaborate with tech companies to build cool products. That's great. And maybe that's what we will see, individual creators with good collaborations on products that I guess their audience and people want to see. So we're waiting on Ludicrous Feed, fluffy dice that we can put up into our Teslas as we roll down
Brunswick.
Chapel Street in Melbourne.
Maybe fluffy dice.
I'll be paying big bucks for Tom's liaison with a brand there. With like, hey, I want that pair first, Tom. Thank you very much. Obviously, Marcus has got an audience in the US there. 19 or 20 million views on his videos as subscribers, and obviously basketball being can I say this, African American in the US, high tops, with the NBA having such a massive global audience. That seems like the right way to go for YouTube content creators. Which is what you're doing. So hey, want to see that collab? So Riz and I can get our hands on a few pairs.
You
of
guys will be the
freebies.
first. I'll sign them too. With a fluffy dice, maybe fluffy dice RFID, so you can pull up to a charger and it'll bing and get you charging. And I think Gaffer's saying, Riz, you need your own pair of runners actually for keep you up with the EVs for taking photos. So
Yeah, I think I'm doing a collab with Nike as we speak.
and Matt's saying, doing my first Tesla test drive this weekend, might need those fluffy dice. Thank you. You're all too kind. Yep. Watch this space. That's funny. Gents, any other news this week we should touch on? See anything in the comments there?
I think one thing that I wanted to bring up, Tom, was that national electric vehicle statement that Chris Berman did put out. Look, it sounded great, but let's compare apples to apples. We are one of 2 nations in the developed world who don't have a fuel efficiency standard. The other one being Russia. I just don't think we can compare ourselves to that country, which means that we would be the last developed country in that sort of region to be able to sort of have a fuel efficiency standard. Now, that's a great thing that we will eventually get a fuel efficiency standard, but most countries already have these in place. I just don't think that that's going to be enough if all the other countries already have these efficiency standards in place for manufacturers to then go, oh, well, hang on a second. Well, we're going to stop manufacturing plug-in hybrids or ICE vehicles and not send them to Australia because that's the waste ground where we can send them, because now Australia's got this fuel efficiency standard. They're always going to side like, well, hang on a second, but Norway or Sweden or US or UK or China have got ahead of you, so we're going to have to fulfill their orders before we send our EVs your way. At the end of the day, manufacturers only have they're going to have limitations in how many cars they can manufacture, barring Tesla. And I think we've kind of like been a little bit left behind. So I'd be interested to see what the final wording on that fuel efficiency standard is, what the stats are on that, what the government comes out with, and how they compel the manufacturers to go, hey, you're part of the stakeholders. Let's bring more EVs into Australia rather than, hey, we're just going to give you 1,000 each year and that's it. Riz, Tom, your thoughts on that?
I think, even with having a national document now, at least it sends some sort of a signal to manufacturers that we're serious about at least having more electric cars on our roads. With these chargers and these initiatives that are being rolled out now at a national level, hopefully the states will follow, and then the right type of manufacturers will, bring in more volume. And it's those that are already making sort of a larger sort of difference. So the likes of Tesla, BYD, MG, and Hyundai to a certain degree. And hopefully this sends Hyundai Australia a bit of a message to say, hey, we need more electric vehicles. There's clearly demand. And if the new Kona electric, that will be a bit more affordable, comes in before the end of this year, hopefully in meaningful numbers, then that's what we need. We need more affordable electric vehicles in Australia.
Yep. No, very well said, both of you. That's great. Yeah, no, I agree with Rahul. We just need some sort of standard. It's a global market. We need to compete with other countries. We don't want to get the worst of the lot. And by the same token, Riz, I agree. We need those cheapies because, look at the Toyota Camry now, Toyota Corolla. That's the bulk of the market at the moment. That's what people want to pay at the price point. I think $5,000 to $10,000 is what people will probably tolerate for an EV higher than the equivalent ICE to recoup the cost over a few years. So yeah, we'll see what comes out of the auto show in China. Hopefully, we get some of those cars here. And Gaffer says, Rahul, the only counter I have to that argument is that our market isn't owned yet, so there is still an opportunity to get to the front of the importing pack here. Others are kind of full. Yep. That's one thing about being behind. We can see what other people have done and hopefully get the best bits out of the other continents.
Yeah, and I agree that allows us a lot of room to catch up very quickly to others who've already, sort of moved ahead. So yeah, there's, it's obviously exponential. So it just means that it allows us a massive curve in terms of catching up very, very quickly to the rest of the world. But if the target is 2030 or 2035, and the fact that we will have fuel efficiency standards, that's brilliant. Let's bring it on. Let's get us on an equal footing with the rest of the world. Because I think too many times Australia's kind of like been lagging behind the rest of the world, and I think here's an opportunity for us to go, hey, well, we're going to be competing with you guys neck and neck, shoulder to shoulder, in a foot race to be among the best EV nations in the world.
Yep. I think that's one thing I was a little bit disappointed that there was no fuel efficiency standard on this round. Hopefully the next update will get something. Let's talk about this bit of news here, and it's the fact that the most successful and lowest cost EV ever built will be ending its production, and that is, of course, the Chevy Bolt.
Yeah, that was an interesting one. I think that General Motors, that owns Chevrolet, had their investors call for the Q1 earnings, and they just dropped a bit of a bombshell to say they're going to stop production of their highest volume electric vehicle. Who killed the electric car? General Motors had a role to play back in the day, and now
Twice, yeah.
and now it seems that they're doing it once again, which is a bit, contradicts a lot of what they've been saying with trying to catch up Tesla and beat them at their game and all of that sort of commentary that they've had with their CEO over the last couple of years, where now they're saying they're going to stop production of, I think they produced last year 98% of all EVs that General Motors sold was a Chevy Bolt.
Wow.
And they're going to stop production of that car before the end of this year. And it sold pretty well, even in the first quarter. So I think they sold nearly 19,000 of them in the first quarter of this year. So it was an affordable electric car, and it's going to be, they're going to stop production of it without ramping up the production of the next generation Ultium electric vehicle platform vehicles that are built on that. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how this transition happens, and it's General Motors' loss basically.
Yep, I agree. It is disappointing, but hopefully something better will come out of it. Like you said, Riz, the new platform. Johanna thought, is it possible for buildings and car parks to require PowerPoint 10 amps at every car space? These that can then be activated via an app or parking meter. I think this was actually in the national strategy. They were talking a lot about retrofitting apartments and multi-dwelling buildings. So hopefully this will get legislated too. Certainly new builds should be, and hopefully retrofitted as well. Ray says Chevy Bolt was losing money. Okay.
Yep.
Fair. Quick talk about Cybertruck redesign, gents. Did you see it this week?
Redesign, or some of the images that have come out, it's looking more and more sort of nearly finished.
I see.
And there's some alpha prototypes. I think even on the Q1 earnings call, Elon said that they've got an alpha production line being already producing Cybertrucks at Austin in Texas. So it's looking quite finished. And even the units running around at outside Fremont, California, I think there was a couple of photos taken earlier this week with under the Californian sun, and it's very shiny. Yeah, I
Right.
think that that's looking good.
Yeah. Okay, so not redesign, but like as in looking more finished.
Yeah.
Yep. Because 2023 was meant to be the ramp up year. I think the last we heard of it from the investor day was, or one of the earnings calls. So yeah, there you go, Rahul. That's coming soon to a neighborhood near you. That's good.
Preferably in my driveway would be even better.
Push that Ranger out of the way.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. Anything else, gents, before we wrap up? Getting close to that time.
Yeah, I just want to give a quick shout out to Fully Charged Live. They did reach 1 million subscribers on YouTube,
Yes.
so fantastic, Bobby and Dan. And I believe that this weekend, the 28th to the 30th, they're in Farnborough in the UK with their Fully Charged Live show. And I believe Elliot is traveling there from China. He's back in the UK. I'm sure he's got family there. But he'll obviously be at Fully Charged Live in Farnborough. So if you're joining us from the UK, or if you're in the UK, please go ahead, join them, say hello to them from us here in Australia. We can't wait to have them back next year in Australia. That first Fully Charged Live show was a massive success. I can't wait to see them again.
I mean, look at the cars that are on offer at Farnsworth, as you said. Like, it's replete with EVs. I mean, we need to have these like in February in Sydney for sure.
Agreed.
I mean, we've got the contacts now. We've got Elliot on our side, so we'll try and get Elliot to whisper in Bobby's ear and Dan's ear for next year. Like, they're expecting the Ioniq 6, Xpeng P7, Subaru Solterra, even this little thing, the Microlino, Fisker Ocean. Oh man, I'm so jealous. So many things to talk about. I mean, speaking of Elliot, we'll try and get him on after he's come back from the UK. I think he was telling us that he hadn't left China in like 4 years. Australia was the first time in 4 years since pre-pandemic, so it'd be good for him to go home go back to the UK and catch up with people, as you said, Rahul. So, wishing Elliot well. All right, well, that's I think that's pretty much it, ladies and gents. If the last minute shout out to any comments in the audience. Otherwise, thanks everyone for joining us tonight. It's been great, and just a bit of a roundup tonight. Nothing sort of set. Just chatting with everyone and just catching up with the news over the last few weeks because we haven't been around. But we'll try and start again with weekly live streams, of course, as we always do. Oh, actually, one more point. Yes, Alan, good point. Thank you, Alan, for reminding me. I was going to talk about this. The new Cattle batteries, 500. Get this right, Riz. 500. What's the metric? Watt hours per kilo.
Watt hours per kilogram.
Yeah, that's amazing, right? Because currently, sitting around 300, 350?
I think the 4680s were around 270.
Wow.
And LF lithium phosphate ion batteries were a little bit lower than that. So, yeah, nearly doubling the energy density. And it'd be interesting to see the applications. Does that mean the batteries themselves get smaller for passenger cars? Because you don't need as much of it? Or is it for other applications, whether it's planes, boats, whatever else that needs greater density to be able to go the distance? So, very exciting to see.
Yeah. That's phenomenal. Like, that's double what it is now. So, 1,000K range potentially. Amazing. We'll shut those diesel people up. Ranger guy. Yeah, no, very exciting. And thank you, Greg, too, for did we talk about the Model 3 refresh picks? Thank you for reminding us as well. This is making news while we were away. So we should probably put a poll, I guess, a bit late now, but we should put a poll. Are these real? Are these fake? Riz, Rahul, are these real? Are these fake?
Pretty real. From all the analysis, and some people are much better than I am at Photoshop. Apparently, they reckon you can't Photoshop that, and there's a couple of cues in the photos, so definitely worth touching on maybe next time. But this is great to see. It's, I think, an alpha prototype.
Surely that's a Photoshop. Surely.
Yeah, that one is.
And obviously there's a refresh. I'll wait until I hear from Tesla or from some more reliable sources,
Nash.
and
Nash.
and wait to see that Nash. Yeah, where was Nash?
Yeah, look, I quite like it. It's very it looks more sleek, like more streamlined.
Definitely,
Yeah, more Model S-ish.
And Roadster.
Roadster, yes.
The
that's
new
right.
Roadster that never came. It's sort of a little bit sleeker, particularly the headlights.
Yeah. And there's no pictures of the back, I don't think. Does it look like the Mazda 3 again? Yeah, okay. So they're all... Yeah, okay. So if we're saying it's real, then that's great. What are we thinking? Hopefully next couple of years in Australia? Am I being optimistic?
Q4.
Q4 this year?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay. I have to trade in my existing order by then. Shouldn't get too attached to it in that case. Yes. All right, everyone. Gents, I think that might be it. Any last minute things you want to bring up?
No, it's good. We've got a bit of a national plan now. Hopefully the states can align themselves, and this can only be a good thing. At least it sends messages to corporates and other fleet customers as well as consumers that EVs are here to stay. And thank you, Tom, Rahul, and everyone in the Ludicrous Feed community for getting us this far. It's good, and it can only get better from here.
No, thank you, Riz, and thank you, Rahul.
Thanks, Tom. Welcome back. Good to be back, Riz. Good to have that break over Easter as well. We're obviously transitioning into winter here in Australia. So yeah, we'll be bunkering down a little bit more. But yeah, I agree with Riz. The fact that Queensland is now up that EV rebate to 6K for about 58 to 68K vehicles. Fantastic. The fact that we may have very soon a fuel efficiency standard set by the federal government. Let's not forget that the Victorian EV tax challenge may have a decision very soon. And the rollout of that national EV highway with NRMA in conjunction with federal government just means amazing. Some more brands coming into Australia. The Cupra Bond, I think, was released yesterday or this week. Riz, correct me if I'm wrong. It
should have arrived. They were expecting for it to arrive by April, last I heard. But yeah, probably the first delivery should be very shortly.
Mate, we're laughing.
Yeah, it's good. I didn't actually hear whether there was a cap on the Queensland $6,000 rebate.
68,000, I think.
Oh, but in terms of numbers of cars, like New South Wales.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'll have to work that out. Oh yes, and Greg is saying China is retrofitting production lines with the new Model 3. Wow. Okay, maybe I'll be getting a new one next month. Greg, you've just raised my hopes. And thank you, Rahul. Yes, Cupra had 6 cars in Canberra today on a promo tour. Okay, cool. Yep. I've been seeing ads as well on the highway with those big billboards for Cupra and on buses too. And Greg says, I'm sure it was talked about, but Model Y long range. Yes, that was released too this month. Yep. I think it falls just under the stamp duty threshold, I think, for New South Wales. So if you order a base white car. Yep. Thank you. Great show as always, gentlemen. Thank you for your support, everyone. Yes, Gaffer says we need some new Ludicrous Feed chat icons. Yes. Okay. Give me some ideas, gents and ladies, if you're watching. Happy to put some more icons up for members too. Okay, everyone. Thanks so much. Thank you, Riz. Thank you, Rahul. I'll see you next week. And thank you, everyone on the live stream for all your comments and input. And if you're watching on the replay, thank you. And on the podcast as well, thanks for listening. And until the next Ludicrous Feed Live, happy charging as always. I'll see you next time. Bye, everyone. Take care.